We actually have our own internal PhD program, so we do performance-led micronutrition research. I was very fortunate to link up with my head of research, who is actually the PhD that Whoop used for HRV.
Oh, wow.
So he essentially is the godfather of HRVs, and he still does consult when they're looking at trying to tweak the algorithms in terms of what HRV is. So we're really, really passionate. These are the things that kind of happen behind the scenes, but we believe are going to help the brand long term for when people do start to see this category as their choice, that Pillar is that brand that not only created the products, educates them, but also has the research behind it.
There's a lot of vitamins and whey proteins and things like that have existed. What sets Pillar apart from the rest? So I'd love to know, so what you do different that makes you so special?
Yeah, great question. With the category, if you look at the category in itself in terms of, let's just use the word supplementation. We actually don't use that word very often in Australia. We categorise one is sports nutrition and one is vitamins and minerals. I'm not actually a fan of either of those two categories. One, because what's ended up in the sports nutrition category, as you said, protein is a big one. But what the three main products in that channel are these things called pre-workouts, fat burners, and protein.
Yeah,
now,
right.
for me, have nothing to do with sport nor nutrition. If I walked you right now we walked down to Richmond Tigers or Collingwood, we walked into their team room, I'll tell you the products that don't exist on their shelves: pre-workouts and fat burners. So there's nothing high performance or sports nutrition about that group of products. It's actually, when you think about it, that's more body composition, right? And this is how everything's been morphed in terms of when you look at a category and you think, okay, is that actually for performance or health? No, it's not. And then if we actually go and look at the pharmacy channel, you go and look at, for example, vitamins, minerals, that is only one tiny I don't know why we categorise it as that, because there's only one tiny portion of what is a hugely not, I suppose, any other product that's not sports nutrition. So essentially what Pillar is, we're a performance supplement company. What we do that's different is we're going to be the first brand that has been able to merge both the pharmacy and the sports nutrition together. So when you look at our vitamin and mineral or supplement line, we are a practitioner-only category supplement. So our products, if you were to put them in a pharmacy, would sit in the practitioner-only category. The formulas are higher than your practitioner big pharma brands, because essentially we were targeting, and the gap that we found early was that those products were missing from a performance standpoint. But from a branding perspective, we're starting to actually message that product class for everyday use, for here and now performance, and not just for preventative health, which is where it had always been. And so what we do is we essentially took that category, brought it in, we brought the very key ingredients of sports nutrition, and it wasn't your pre-workouts and fat burners, it was your big blocks of health. At the base source, the highest quality protein, which is grass-fed WPI, or whey protein isolate. For us, it's collagen, bovine collagen. It's creatine, and then we go into our micro range. And then from there are some, there's still a number of products that we haven't sold for yet that are in the pipeline. But when we look at our category of performance health, it really does merge the two of them together. And what we're really working on is how do we find this place where people know how to go and find that category of product? Because right now they're segmented, but we believe that where things are headed from 5 years from now, consumers are actually going to want to go directly to a category that sits like that. Because, I bet you a lot of your office here, maybe yourself, have now started learning about creatine.
Yeah.
15 years ago, science didn't exist as to what it does for health and wellness.
It was also slightly negative, like it wasn't only a positive
because
thing.
it's exactly.
There's risks and all that kind of stuff.
It was always, it was put in a performance light, and the performance light was strength and power with the downside of added weight, right? And you can spin that with the marketing however you like, but with every downside there's an upside, and there was just not the emerging research. And this is what's happening that's so amazing, and we're trying to be a part of it. We actually have our own internal PhD program, so we do now. We felt that there was no performance-led micronutrition research on the medical side. So we said, okay, let's internalise that. Let's actually, if we're going to make the change, we're going to bring people into this category in the brand, we're going to own the category, we have to educate on it. And when we said educate, when we found that there was a gap in the research, we said, okay, we've got to solve for that. So I was very fortunate to link up with my head of research, who is actually, his PhD was the PhD that Whoop used for HRV.
Oh, wow.
So he essentially is the godfather of HRV. His PhD was the paper that was used by these wearable companies to put it inside the metrics. And he still does consult when they're looking at trying to tweak the algorithms in terms of what HRV is. So we're really, really passionate. These are the things that kind of happen behind the scenes, but we believe are going to, help the brand long term for when people do start to see this category as their choice, that Pillar is that brand that not only created the products, educates them, but also has the research behind it.